Trump's agenda will pull our economy back into recession.
She's going to raise taxes, $1.3 trillion. I'm going to cut taxes, big league, big league.
The result would be a loss of 3.4 million jobs.
I'm going to create millions of jobs.
All right, well, the battle is on. Lots of promises. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump going at it over jobs. So who has the best plan to get the job done? Let's bring in our Fox Business panel. Fox Business reporter, co-host of FBN AM, that's Nicole Petalides. Host of Fox Business Network's Risk and Reward, that's Deirdre Bolton in the middle. And Brian Brenberg, he's the professor and chair of Business and Finance program at King's College in Manhattan. Nice to see all three of you this morning. All right, Hillary's economic plan yesterday announced, the most fresh that we can look at. Here, we'll put it up on the screen. We'll dissect it. $275 billion in infrastructure plans for this country. Remember, President Obama spent $800 billion. A 4% surcharge, deductions limited to 28% off your tax bill. Brian, is this good?
Well, you know, like you said, with the $275 billion infrastructure, we've seen this before. 8 years ago, we saw the big stimulus bill. I think a lot of voters would say we didn't really get a lot of bang for our buck there. And so I think we look at this current plan and we say, is this really going to create the jobs that she's talking about it creating? We've seen the story of infrastructure spending play out as a stimulus in countries like Japan and China, and it really hasn't worked. So I don't think we can look at that one for big growth.
Deirdre, is this a tale of two Americas, typical sort of left-wing plan here? We're going to increase taxes. We're going to spend more to try to drive jobs, federal jobs, create more jobs that way?
Yeah, I do think in that way there is some clarity. But, you know, Trump has also borrowed a lot, both from House Republicans, as he should, but also from the Democratic side. When you talk about infrastructure, he actually wants double that amount, and even said he would tolerate a wider deficit if that includes spending on vets, national defense, and infrastructure. But to your point, Hillary Clinton's plan is more traditional. A lot of people say, listen, Senator Sanders really yanked her further to the left. It is tax the rich, and then, hey, this is what we're going to do with the money. So, again, you just have to trust, will the government use your money wisely? Most Americans, especially at this juncture, say, not so much.
Nicole, on the middle class, this is something Donald Trump has been hitting hard, of course, that he is the champion of the middle class. Let's put up his plan here and contrast it. I want to take your take on both Hillary's and his plan here. Yeah. One of the biggest tax cuts since Reagan. Of course, a lot of people think he basically went to Reagan's website and got his tax plan.
I remember that.
Yeah, corporate tax rate cut 35% down to 15%, and a tax-deductible child care. He also wants to eliminate the death tax. So, middle class, that's what all the focus is on.
Right.
What's better for the middle class here?
Well, they're both painting as if they're the best candidate for the middle class. But the question is which one really is. And in fact, when you look at the tax breakdown, and he's simplifying the tax code, he is more favorable for people who make under $30,000. In fact, he's actually saying you pay 0% taxes if you make $100,000. So he seems to be more favorable in the tax cuts, also the child care deductions and job creation, for cutting the rates on small businesses, for example, which will then create jobs further. So big picture, it seems that he's being a little more friendly to the middle class as far as it goes. She's really painting this picture. It was very interesting because what she spoke yesterday, it didn't seem so much as an economic speech as it did a political one.
Yeah,
she spent a lot of time. She spent a lot of time scaring us and telling us how we're going to go into recession if you were to choose Trump's plan.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Middle class here, and this idea she brings up about small business. Yeah. So Hillary Clinton talking yesterday about small business, but which plan is better for small business, Brian?
Well, it's funny. She talked about small business, and she said she wanted to cut red tape for small businesses, but the entirety of her speech was about new regulations, new subsidies that actually makes life for small business owners more complicated. So she's got two different things going at each other. I don't think her plan really is a plan for small businesses.
And higher taxes for small businesses.
They're drowning in red tape. They're having a hard time right now. She's really sort of the third term of economics for Obama. Small business owners have struggled under that regime.
I think that simplification of the tax code, I think that is so important. How many people do you know tear their hair out, right, trying to figure this out? So Donald Trump going from 7 to 3 or 7 to 4 if you count 0%.
Right.
Yeah, it just makes life so much easier.
Well, your final thoughts here, Deirdre, on the small business.
On small business, I think that Donald Trump actually had more details in a plan to help small businesses. We'll say, I mean, this is just the beginning. As Nicole said, I mean, this was not so much a policy speech from Clinton as it was just a political rebuttal to what Donald Trump said.
All right, now we get to dissect it.
We have a record number of people on food stamps. Home ownership is the lowest in decades. And labor force participation rate lowest in 4 decades. So, you know, if you want to have some sort of change, then you might vote Trump. If you want to stick with the status quo, you might go with Clinton.
Interesting stuff. Thanks to our Fox Business panel this morning. Great to see all of you. Thanks so much.